Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, January 20, 2016. It is now 4:30 in the afternoon, so we shall begin our council meeting. May I please have a roll call?
Pete Hamill.
Here.
Randy Funkert.
Here.
Brad Hint.
Here.
Greg Gills.
Here.
Zach Sawyer.
Here.
Thank you. And first on our agenda is the public comments. At this time, does anyone have public comments? Make eye contact with each of you to acknowledge there are no public comments at this time. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions? And if there are none and we do not have discussion, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Hint.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Hamill.
Aye.
Thank you. And into new business, number 3 on our agenda is we will now open the public hearing, and this is on the O'Brien County Hazardous Mitigation Plan. The public hearing is open. Are there any public comments? There are none. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion. Support.
Thank you. And then we need to have a roll call to close it. Thank you, Angie.
Gills.
Getting ahead of myself.
Funkert.
Aye.
Hamill.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Thank you. And then we need a motion by resolution to adopt the hazard mitigation plan.
So move. Support.
Thank you. Last request for questions or comments. Roll call, please.
Funkert.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Hamill.
Aye.
Number 4 on our agenda is we will now open a public hearing, and this is on the Sheldon Municipal Airport 6T hangar project. We're precise.
Or not. Looked at the notes, yeah.
Or not, right? Public comments regarding the airport hangar project. A motion to close the public hearing, please.
Motion.
Thank you.
Support.
Roll call.
Hint.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Hamill. Sorry
Aye.
about that.
I answered about anything.
And now Scott is going to share with us how it went this afternoon with our bidding.
We need actually action to approve plans and specifications.
Oh, you want to do that first? Okay, yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that would have an effect with everything else.
Yeah,
So,
we should approve accepting the plans and specs that was bid on.
you bet. So regarding the plans and specs that were bid on, we need a motion to approve that. If you have questions first, though, regarding plans and specs.
So you may have a question on the details of the project. Then I'll get into the details of what the project is really.
Make the motion to approve the
Thank
plans
you.
and specifications.
Support.
Ooh, Reese. Roll call, please.
Hamill.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Thank you. And my apologies, I didn't mean to jump
Sorry,
ahead
that's
there
fine.
because I wasn't sure where we were going to go, if that was going to happen or not. So now, would you please share how the bidding went this morning?
Yeah, regardless of in regards to the plan specifications, this is what was bid on. As you see before you, we do have a breakdown of the bid tabulation. And just kind of following down, I won't go through every item. As you're aware, we had our hangar project that was destroyed last July by a windstorm / maybe tornado. We're not 100% sure. The engineer's estimate, and we kind of broke it down into a few sections. We had a total base bid, and this mainly incorporated some of the concrete work, some of the electrical work, the actual building itself, which is the largest portion of it. The total base bid estimate from the engineer was $372,025. As part of that, we actually included 3 different bid additions. Basically what that means is these are options that we can consider based on price, whether we want to add them, subtract them, however we want to proceed from there. Those were for insulation with an engineer's estimate of $15,000. The second bid addition was for wall paneling with an estimate of $10,000. And then the third bid addition was for roof drainage, which include gutters and downspouts, which was an addition engineer estimate of $7,500. This morning we opened 3 bids on the project, and I'll just kind of quickly take you through those. The first bidder was Jensen Builders. Their total base bid was $522,556. And I won't go through the bid additions. The second low bidder was Schaus Voorhees Contracting. They had a bid of $491,411.67, and the apparent low bidder was L&L Builders out of Sioux City for $479,355.72. So as you can see, without being a math wizard, their low bid, just on the total base bid itself, was a little over $100,000 over our engineer's estimate. So following the opening of the bids, the Airport Commission did actually meet this morning at 10:30, we were actually anticipating more of a discussion about the bid additions, not that we'd be that far off on the actual base bid. Their recommendation is to reject all the bids. I did have a conversation with McClure Engineering as well. In regards to this, we didn't have a super in-depth conversation. They're going to visit with their structural engineer. As you see, the big section that seems to be a long ways off is just the building. The engineer's estimate was $270,000. The apparent low bid, once again, was $338,940. That's $68,000 over just on that one item alone. So basically, whether we have to go back to the drawing board, we missed something, possibly visit with the contractors in regards to steel price. Is there something that we're missing in these bids? But at this point in time, it would be our recommendation to reject all bids, and then this will go back, of course, to the Airport Commission to review with the engineers on where and how we proceed from here. Thoughts, questions?
Do you know what the insurance settlement was?
Yeah, good question. I do have the information. Basically, what we have as of right now, and that's why we were kind of excited about the bid additions, not including engineering, basically just for the construction portion of the project. As of today, we'd have $420,139.24 available. So based on the dollars we have available, we're close to $60,000 still over of what the apparent low bidder was. Good question, Brad. I was going to bring that up. So
Thank you. Do you need a motion to approve the rejecting of
to
the bids?
reject the bids, yes.
Yep. Okay.
If there's any other questions at all?
Yep. Is there any other questions or comments then for Scott?
No, it's interesting to look at these. It's always very confusing how they can be so far off. Like the 2-inch closed cell foam, that's mind-boggling that they could be that much disparity between the engineer and them.
We had the same conversation, so we're not sure what
doesn't compute.
Wow. Yeah.
Todd and I talked about that. It's been a pretty long time since we've had one. I mean, we've been over before. But that far off, we haven't been that far off for quite a while. So
It is what it is.
Yep.
So stay tuned.
Wow.
Jensen and Schaus Voorhees, where are they from?
Schaus Voorhees is actually from Fairfield, Iowa. Yeah, that's a long ways away. The gentleman that actually put the bid together actually lives in Oskaloosa.
Is that Derek?
Yeah, he's actually here. Jensen, where's Jensen out of? I don't have that information right in front of me. So that's another thing certainly hoping, based on the project and size, to have some more local interest. I think we had a lot of subs that were interested, like the electrical work and some of the other items, but no immediate local bid on the project either. So
How critical is it that if we reject this now, in terms of the storage and stuff, is that going to put the airport in a bind?
no, they're getting by right now. I mean, they've all made accommodations. We're either finding another location. Some of them are sharing some hangar space. It's not ideal. We certainly want to, get moving on it. Worst case scenario, it pushes us back a couple months. We're looking at a September 1 completion date. I think our hope now is to get it all enclosed and completed, by winter if we can move forward.
Did McClure have any input?
No, nothing specific. A little shock and awe, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him since this morning. By
Okay.
going through the bids, I did not talk to him this afternoon again,
All right.
or heard back from him. So
Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments? If not, we do need to take a motion to reject all bids.
So move.
Support.
Thank you. Last request for comments? I have a roll call, please?
Sawyer.
Aye.
Punkert.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Thank you. And number 5 on the agenda is we will pick up our discussion where we left off with the SCAT staffing discussion. Where we left off last meeting, where a few of our council would like to reach out to our SCAT members, and I hope those who had questions were able to get answers to any questions that they had or share information back and forth. So now we'll pick up here where we left off. As you know, one of the items that we were talking about is hiring a full-time person to SCAT, and we also talked about the dollar incentive for those who are on call. Are there any questions from council?
No, it was interesting and enlightening going to the meeting. Appreciate your input. It's all new to me, so it was a good learning experience. And thank you for the service, and thank you for your input at the meeting.
Thank you, Pete. And anybody else have any other questions, or are you comfortable with gathering as much knowledge as you needed or questions answered in the meantime so that we can move forward with this?
I expressed, I think, at the meeting, and would express it here, is that your service is greatly appreciated, and I think that we need to continue this conversation on a long-term basis to make sure that we don't, that we continue to look down the road and see how we're going to get where we want to be.
Right.
Irregardless of what we might decide here today, I don't think it should stop here today.
Thank you, Pete. So first, let's talk about the full-time position. Are we ready to make that decision on approving a full-time EMT paramedic? We're going to do this in 2 parts. First, we're going to talk about the full-time position for an EMT paramedic, and then we'll talk about the incentive, the on-call incentive.
Personally, I just still struggle with the fact of seeing how one is going to completely solve the issue. I know it's a place to start.
Well, I'm not sure that I agree with that also, but I think that I would like to see us get started. I don't think it's the long-term solution, but I think it's a start.
And I also am curious how everything's going to coordinate with the transfer company that's coming in. That still is a whole big question mark to me, how this is all going to work.
I think that's probably a question mark to all of us.
Well, I think the big thing, we shared last time, I don't think that changes the way, I won't speak for them, the way they do their business today, though. If we want to continue to have an ambulance service for the Sheldon community,
Right.
that's not going to change and take away the need to have, I think, a full-time position. I don't think that's going to impact us one bit. I think just even covering the 911 calls, regardless of the transfers, that's not our only issue. It's a staffing issue of having someone available for that time. And I won't disagree with you either. I mean, Cindy and I have talked about that, of the one full-time now may lend itself to the need for a second one.
Right.
But we just don't know of what's going to happen. I think we got to start somewhere, and I think that's a good place to start.
Right.
Well, and I guess my conversations were that I don't see that going away at all. I wouldn't assume either of those. I think that as we progress, it is what it is, and we have no control over that. So we'll have to deal with it as it comes. I've been led to believe that there is not necessarily going to be a huge change.
With the transfer company? That's
Right.
fine. Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's a bad thing either. It's going
Right.
to be another private business coming to town.
Yeah,
which
it's
we're
great to
gonna
have the
to
Right,
business.
try
but
to support
I also
somehow, too.
don't think that I'm comfortable making a decision without knowing the answer to that, because we really can't know that answer. Till we get down the road here 6 months or a year, we won't know the answer to that question.
Is our initial job is it for a paramedic, or are we, I mean, that's our first option that we want to do, right? Instead of an
EMT
EMT,
paramedic.
but
Yeah, my understanding, Cindy can certainly answer that probably better than I can from the job description standpoint. My understanding is a paramedic can offer more than what an EMT can as far as the services of what a nurse or somebody else would go like on a transfer or something else. So to me, our ultimate goal is to have a paramedic. Now, whether we'd hire someone and they don't have the paramedic status and we help and they get the appropriate schooling and we can incentivize them that way to get to the paramedic level, I think our ultimate goal is to have a paramedic.
And that's what I guess that's my point. I mean, I'd rather have a paramedic.
Yeah.
As far as
I think
the
looking at
options
it,
that
we need to go paramedic rather than
Well-
EMT, personally.
If all things being equal, that'd be great, but I'm not sure that's a goal we're going to be able to achieve very easily. I don't want to set a goal we can't meet. But I think that, sure, that'd be the desire. We'll have to decide whether that's practical or not. I think that I think Orange City's been looking one for quite some time and not been able to fill the position.
But that was also shared with the director, as they said at the SCAT meeting. Maybe the director portion of it was tougher than the paramedic, but.
Good conversation. Any other comments? Discussion? Questions? We have the SCAT, most of the SCAT team right here. Do we have any questions? You're eager to wait. You're eager to answer them, aren't you? But hopefully they've all been answered. So, given the time frame that we've had the last 2 weeks, discussion we're having here, are we ready to make a motion to move forward with approving the hiring of an EMT/paramedic?
I'll make that motion to hire a full-time EMT/paramedic.
Support?
Thank you.
It's a starting point.
Yep, I agree. I totally, with the transfer company that's coming into town, that's great to have a new business. That's great. But at the same time,
We got to worry about what
we need to
got.
have our city. Who knows who these people are? No offense, I don't know them, and I'm not to speak ill of them. It's nice that they want to come to our town and do business, but are they going to stay here? And we need to take care of our city. And we do appreciate, I'm sure many of us up here have used SCAT services, and we're very thankful for what you do and the volunteering time and all that you put into it.
I don't think that ever was a question.
No, and it never was.
Or a comment
No, not at all.
as far as that goes.
Right. I think we were all on the same page as appreciating you. It's just we want to make sure that we had any questions answered, and I'm glad those reached out. Those people who did have questions came to you and answered or asked those questions. So thank you very much. You raising your hand back there? Hi, Jeff. Can you step up to the podium for me, please?
Jeffrey Freeman, and after you three attended our meeting, we had some discussion afterwards within the team, and it was also thrown up there that maybe we could do a /nurse addition to this motion, because a nurse would also...
How does that enter into the qualification?
A nurse can... I'm up here without knowing the answer to that question.
I know the feeling.
Sydney, if you
She
could
knows
answer
the
that, please explain the difference for us in EMT, paramedic, nurse. That would be nice.
Well, we would have to just look at their scope of practice, but a nurse can administer meds, do the IVs. They're ACLS trained. Paramedic can go on to like critical care paramedic, but that's more training. So that is an option out there. If you can't get a full-time paramedic, maybe an RN would be able to fill that position.
Can you explain, would it be EMT, RN, then paramedic would be a higher skill level?
It would depend on what our medical director, Dr. Zali, would approve through the state.
Okay.
So there's a lot of variables in there.
Okay.
So maybe our
I got a
biggest
question. I had a question for Cindy. It was brought in talking to different people with SCAT and on this subject. It was brought that if we had a paramedic, right now we go with 3 people on a call. Is that correct?
You respond to 911s. We try to respond with 3 on
Three,
call.
okay. And they were saying that if a paramedic was available, this full-time paramedic, they could relieve some of our volunteer stress during the daytime and go with a driver and a paramedic, because there's a cop there always to help lift if need be. And I was just saying, is that true or not?
Is there a cop there every time to help lift? He says no.
Well, that's what I was told, so I mean, I'm just going by what I was told.
I guess it depends
We
on
try
what-
to do our best, but to say that we're on every call wouldn't be fair.
They've been very helpful, but yeah, you don't know what they're doing
That's
at
why
the same
I'm
time.
just trying, I mean, to help with volunteers and stuff like that, I mean, you know, is it possible that we could cover it that way, or?
Well, yeah. Obviously, that'd be up to the director to design those kinds of things.
Well, I understand that, but I'm just.
When you have
trying
a
to do
staffing
what's-
issue,
Volunteer stress is a major issue, so we need to look at ways to relieve that too.
when you don't
And I'm
have
sure
enough
there are
volunteers,
cases when 2 people is not enough.
and say when you
to
don't have enough
physically do the
volunteers,
job.
we run with 2. But we prefer
And
to
I
run
asked
with
that
3.
question too, I said, what if CPR is needed and stuff? They said, well, we have machines now that do the compressions, you don't have to switch off and on. I don't know, I'm not a paramedic or an EMT or anything like that, I'm just asking a question.
If you had a full-time paramedic and we did transfers, probably could go with a driver and a paramedic. 911 calls, depends on the call.
And so it's my understanding that a nurse would qualify to fill all of those.
That job
Requirements.
description that we're talking about, it's a possibility.
Okay.
And maybe from a conversation, instead of, maybe it's just the motion to hire a full-time position
Yeah.
on the SCAT team, because as Cindy and I have talked about with the job description, I'm looking for their guidance on whether we call it EMT, nurse / paramedic.
Right.
I think on how the positions may be described of what we want to hire and what it's going to fill as far as their needs is
Right.
probably obviously the most critical.
And this is going to be a learning
Oh,
process
sure.
as we go through this with a full-time person, their responsibilities, job duties.
Because now keep in mind, I mean, this person will be hired, on basis of a 40-hour week. So to say, that every call or every transfer doesn't guarantee that this paramedic or person is going to be on that call or able to take that call
That's correct.
to cover every gap. It's and I won't disagree with some of the comments. Maybe it's the short-term fix for now. That may change down the road of the need of another position if necessary. But it's at least a start to see how it goes here going forward.
Well, let's try and fill a
void.
position with a qualified person.
That'd be great.
Perfect.
And that's more up your alley than ours. So thank you, Cindy,
Yeah.
and thank you everyone on SCAT for coming. Okay, if there's no other comments, we do have a motion on the table. I will ask one last time for questions or comments.
Are we adding the term nurse / nurse?
We will, it's, as it is right now, they will hire an EMT / paramedic. Do you want to amend it just so that they hire a full-time person to fill that need of an EMT
I would
paramedic
say a
nurse?
qualified person.
Yeah.
And that
Qualified
leaves it
person.
up to them. If it's a paramedic, nurse.
Yeah, I don't want
or
to look at this
EMT.
3 months from now and have somebody come back and say, well, we couldn't find that.
Okay.
Um,
Qualified
Whoever's-
That's
person.
kind of what I was getting
Yeah.
at. If
Yep.
it's
Whoever going
Yeah.
to be
okay to
looking for this person, I think we need to give them the latitude to hire somebody in their best interest,
I
our
agree.
best interest,
Okay.
and theirs.
And you made the motion. The second came from
Pete.
Pete.
yes,
And you agree? Okay.
I agree.
Thank you. Last request for comments or questions.
Do we have people who will be set up for the interviewing process? I mean,
I think that probably to be
They'll have to
determined
handle that.
Right. Yep.
by SCAT or Scott or whomever.
Not to that step yet. I wanted to find out, make sure we had a
Makes-
full-time position approved first.
Get it approved.
So I haven't even thought about that, to be
We'll
honest
work
with
out
you.
the nuts and bolts. And that'll come back. Okay. I'm going to take a roll call if you have no other questions or comments. Roll call, please.
Hamel.
Aye.
Funkert.
aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
We're not done with that.
Well, I guess my point is that there are a lot of details to fill in there. I assume that staff with consulting will fill in those details. And if you need to establish a committee, let's do that, whatever works. I don't think that the council needs to micromanage that.
Correct. I would have no idea.
Take care of it.
Just somebody who can get me where I need to be to stay alive. So you guys know what you're doing.
But the council is, they report to the council.
I understand.
Right.
I mean,
I don't feel like, yeah, anyway, let's move forward. Thank you very much. Now let's talk about the dollar incentive for on-call. Were you able to visit with our SCAT team about that particular item that we were discussing? And what are your thoughts, your comments, questions? Let's get that on the table too so we can move on. Dollar incentive for on-call.
I guess the feeling that I got in that discussion, and when I looked at it, a dollar, I don't know how much motivation that is, but it came from them, and it's a dollar is 100% better than zero.
Yep. Some may appreciate it, some may say it doesn't matter. We're still going to do it.
I struggle with seeing it as being much of an incentive at all, and I also see it being a slippery slope. People don't agree with me, but I do. I've seen it in other instances, and once you start down that slope, where does it stop?
Okay. Any other thoughts? All right, once we get a motion on the table, I know we'll have more discussion if we get one. Are we ready to make a decision then and make a motion on the dollar incentive, the dollar per hour on-call incentive?
I'll move that.
You will move and
Yes.
take that motion. There's a motion on the table.
I'll support that.
Thank you. Now, do you have any other further discussion? Questions?
I would assume that we'll see how this works out and see where it goes. We don't have any idea where that's going to lead us. I think that we have to learn as we go. And again, I don't think this is a short-term discussion. I think that it ought to, as we see this develop and as we get a person on board, that we continue to extend the successful SCAT operation that we have enjoyed and see what it takes to maintain that, hopefully.
Thank you, Pete.
Personally, I would like to see if the first solution works. Maybe start with one rather than two right away. See if that's the fix. If not, it can always be addressed again later.
Okay. Greg, I see your I see it turning. Yep.
I'm just doing the math. In effect, we're talking 3 people on call, 24/7, 365 days a year.
$26,000 a year.
Okay. If that incentivizes it, that may be money well spent.
Yeah, I think that there again, I think that's if that's an incentive, I think that's fine. I don't necessarily see it as being setting a precedent for other things. It's kind of a unique operation.
It's a starting point. We're not the only community that does it, and we're not the only community that has this issue.
Great.
And I know other towns are paying more to have people on call.
I guess I questioned, at the meeting, I questioned whether an hourly incentive was the way to go. I know some of them had so much a weekend or so much a night or so much and the feedback that I got was that, well, with the way you have to break up who's on call to cover the day, you can't, it's easier to have a smaller piece to be able to distribute it out. In other words, it's not necessarily one person that's on call the whole weekend. It might be 3 or 4 people that take pieces of the weekend or the night or the day or whatever. And so, okay, well, that was a learning experience for me. I see how that might work better. It's more complicated, but that's not my problem.
All right, Pete. Thank you for sharing your comments. I'm going to take a roll call, so this is your last request for any comments. Randy? Right, may I have a roll call, please? This is for the dollar per hour on-call incentive.
Hamel.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Sawyer.
No.
Funkert.
No.
Thank you, gentlemen. Motion is passed. Moving forward, next on the agenda, where are we at? Oh, okay, thank you. Number 6 on the agenda, considering the development proposals that Kurt is going to share with us on behalf of the SCDC. And thank you again, Scott, for coming and answering our questions and the service that you provide.
Good
All right,
afternoon,
Kurt.
guys,
Hi.
and gals, and mayor, and everybody else.
Thank you for.
Just a couple proposals. First one was for Runger Development. Is that correct? I think that's one we're going to talk about
Yes,
first.
Runger first.
Okay.
Yep.
The Runger Edition. We have an agreement in place to sell Ryan Cats, lots 3, 4, and .39 acres of Lot 5 in the Runger's 4th Edition. Ryan has plans of putting up storage unit complexes similar to his units that are just located north of Chase Lumber. He plans to begin construction on his first unit within 12 months, and Ryan has plans to build a minimum of 3 units on that complex. It has come as a recommendation from the SCDC Development Committee to sell the ground for $31,864 and request the council to forgive $3,498.32 per our memorandum of understanding as payback on this property. In return, Ryan is willing to sign a 10-year, $80,000 minimum assessment agreement and contract for development with the city of Sheldon. Just an FYI, this project will generate approximately $2,450 in new commercial property tax per year on 1 unit. And as I mentioned before, he does have plans for building additional units on that ground. So that's the proposal on the Runger's 4th Edition for Ryan Katz for consideration. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, he'll start one in 12 months?
Yeah, he'll begin
And then
on
how
unit
long
1
before he
within
gets
12, and then
all
he
4?
wants to do one at least every 3 years going forward. So
So the incentive is just on the
just on
guaranteed
the one,
first one.
it's the $80,000
That's the only thing
minimum
he's getting the
assessment
price
agreement.
break on.
Yeah.
On the first lot?
It's just on the first building.
First building.
First building?
Yep.
Okay,
So that's our 12-month guarantee. After that,
okay.
more or less, that's kind of gravy
Okay.
above what the development deal is.
That is correct.
So
I knew what you were kind of thinking there. 'Cause
Yeah.
That was our
Yeah.
first conversation. Yeah.
Yep.
the additional buildings would still go on the same lot?
Correct. Yep.
And would the assessment change, or that would still be remain at 80,000?
You'll be assessed on each building he puts up, but the $80,000 minimum assessment agreement that he's signing will just be on the first building he puts up within 12 months.
So it could grow then
It
after
should
that.
grow significantly
That's
based on
minimum,
every
not
new,
maximum.
every new building that goes up. That is correct.
It's going to increase.
You're not paying a premium and on number 1 and 2 and 3 would be, okay.
Nope. We're only guaranteeing the $80,000 minimum assessment on that first building.
Yeah, if he came and he's putting up 2 buildings, $160,000, that would reduce his land price, but he's only guaranteeing the one
Okay.
$80,000 building in that first 12 months.
That is correct. Yep.
Awesome.
I'll make the motion to approve that sale.
Or
Thank you. Thank you, Kurt. Questions? None? May I have a roll call, please?
Sawyer.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Gills.
aye.
Now share with us on the Crossroads Industrial Park.
Okay, Sheldon Crossroad Industrial Park, where Baumgars and White Wolf Web are currently located, and Ziegler Cat. We have an agreement in place to sell Fred's Plumbing and Heating out of Hospers, the south 200 feet of Lot 3 in Sheldon Crossroads Industrial Park. Fred's has planned to break ground on his new facility this spring, which will be approximately a 10,000 square foot facility, and also bring 6 to 8 new jobs to the community of Sheldon in year 1. It has come as a recommendation from our SCDC Development Committee again to sell the ground for $1, and are requesting that the council forgive $40,056.25 per our memorandum of understanding as payback on the property in return for a 10-year, $400,000 minimum assessment agreement and contract for development with the city of Sheldon. This project will generate approximately $12,240 in new commercial property tax annually. That's the proposal for Fred's Plumbing and Heating. We're willing to answer any questions council may have for myself.
That's great.
Do you have a standard that you usually go by as far as break even, as far as so many years? It looks like this will take
Yeah,
a little over 3 years.
The payback on this discount will be about 3.5 years,
Yeah.
approximately. Yep.
That's within your normal target?
Yep, that's our typical payback practice that we use for these development
The
deals.
formula is based normally up to 7 years. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
It's
Yeah,
been
we
a
like-
practice, the development committee and city council, but that certainly is always open to change.
So anything under 7 years is a bonus for us as far as the payback is concerned. Yep.
Good deal. Nice to know that they want to expand and come to Sheldon.
Absolutely.
Creating new jobs.
Yep, absolutely. 6 to 8 new jobs in Sheldon here for year one. So, yep, and they have plans of
Moving those
expanding.
from Hospers or creating
Yeah,
more,
there's a few of their employees that they have are actually current Sheldon residents that are working for Fred's now. So we'll be able to keep them here in town. But also their plans and talking to both Mark and Fred is they have plans for expansion and hiring new employees. But they didn't guarantee that in year one, but that's a big picture. And with any expanding business, they all have dreams and aspirations on what they want to do. The important thing for us is they made the investment and want to at least locate here and
That's great.
and begin that process. So
Good deal.
I think it's a good deal. Okay,
Motion.
thank you.
Support.
Thank you. Last request for questions for Kurt or any comments? May I have a roll call, please?
Keels.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Kurt.
thank you.
Number 7 on our agenda, we will consider the second and final pay estimate, and this is for the 2015 downtown resurfacing project. Final payment of $29,079.93. Do we have a motion to approve if you do not have any comments or questions?
Satisfied with the work, I assume? I thought it looked good. I'll make the motion to approve that.
Thank you.
Support.
Thank you. If we do not have questions, I have a roll call, please.
Hamel.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Keels.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Thank you. And at this time, I would like to have a motion to go into closed session to have a discussion of the consideration of purchase of property. Is there a motion? Greg said.
Support.
Thank you. Roll call, please, to go into closed session.
Hamel.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Keels.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Oh, man. Okay, we are out of closed session and no action is being taken at this time. With that being said, we'll move on to the last item on our agenda. Comments? Anything? No? Okay, council, any comments?
I've had a couple people and I've watched about a crosswalk sign or something on Washington and 6th Street
Yes,
at that kind of intersection.
very busy right there.
Yeah.
A lot of walkers
They're
crossing.
really not sure where the crosswalk is, and people, I've seen kids the other day
Yeah.
waited for like 6 cars.
Right, what they're
Or they
doing
could
right now is
cross.
walking in front of Jansma's and crossing over, so it's a direct right across to the next sidewalk onto 6th Street, so
If
I
we
don't
could
know
put
how we could
signage
go
or
about that.
something,
Yeah.
there's a crosswalk there.
We can bring
So
it,
we can bring that
we
up
can
on our
look at
next-
it and maybe put it back
Okay.
on a future agenda. So.
it is very, I know, I don't know if you've been out there, Lyle, but some of the guys have, and it's been very busy. It's nice that there is someone sitting there,
Yeah, I was there
because
the other
sometimes
day,
those high schoolers come out hot
working in a
dogging it.
house relatively close, and I watched, and
There's a lot of walkers, so, okay, good point. Maybe we'll bring that up to a council meeting. Thank you, Brad. Any other comments from council?
I have a question. I've seen different places in town where the sump pumps are draining, and it's now an ice jam, the streets. I've heard of some communities that allow in like the winter months to drain into the storms or the sanitary sewer instead of the storm sewer. Is that a consideration we want to? I mean, what's the lesser of two evils at this point in the year?
on the street.
Okay.
The challenge you're speaking of have it actually in their ordinance as an either or. Every one I've spoken to, and I just spoke to Orange City recently actually, they have it as an either or in the winter. And he said the problem is once you do that, they never go back to the street in the summer. And
Never back. Yeah. Okay.
in infiltration is going to become a fairly hot topic for us in discussion probably in the next couple of years.
Okay.
So I think we should just leave it for now.
Fine.
The good thing is, Greg, most winters we don't have this kind
Right.
of issue.
Right.
As wet as it was in December was the real cause.
I'm fine
I
to
knew
quit
we were
running.
gonna have a mess. We've been scraping them when the weather gets warm enough that we can actually get some off. And I know down by your place it was really bad by Tyson's.
I think about, oh, yeah, yep. Yeah, I just drove by there, but it's a little slickery. Thanks for bringing that up. Any other comments? Scott, do you have anything?
Nope.
Okay, I just want to remind you of a couple things. I did send out an email. The appointments to the boards and commissions, committees, if you could consider what you're on. If you would like to come off of any or switch to any, let me know your interest. I'd like to get that taken care of in our next council meeting in February. Also, I handed out the sheets. We'll be doing Scott's review in February. And last, we would like to set up our budget meeting, our first budget meeting, January 27th. Scott sent out an email saying what time frame works. Some of us are after hours, some of us are before hours. I don't care. So if we could come up with something quick so we can get that plan. I know you're after hours, or would 7 a.m. work?
I would like before, but that's before 7 a.m.
I know, we're,
I'm
well,
fine with it.
I can be an
Early
early
Are
doesn't
you going to be
bother
around,
me,
Randy? Did you find out or not sure yet?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Would early morning work if you're going to be around?
Yeah.
And early morning is what to you all?
4 a.m.
Shush up. Would like a 6:30? Would that be too much to ask? Like a 6:30? Is that too early, or 6 o'clock in the morning even?
I would go 6 and be completely fine, but
Is everybody?
is that early for other people? Or
We get double pay for this?
How would that work with your kids?
You have breakfast?
you can go home and
I can
take a
take
nap,
notes.
Pete. You're all right.
Bring them with.
Yeah. Oh,
6:30 to 8:30?
Say what?
6:30 to
6:30 to 8:30? Try to hammer through as much as we can in a couple hours.
And then Randy, let us know if you're going to be in town.
I would have to be done by 8:30 that day.
Okay, we will be done. I'm open to 6 to 8, whatever. So
it's all in
prefer
really good shape, so it
afternoons.
won't take long.
I know you guys have been working
Good
hard.
work, Edge.
Did you look at the same stuff I did?
Yeah, I did.
You don't work on being vicious.
Yeah.
You want to go to
Start at
Casey's and
6
get
then, and if it
excited
goes to
and Nancy
8:30,
bring
it goes to 8:30.
I'm not gonna have time to go to Casey's.
Six.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Start at 6?
Let's
Start
start
at
at
6
6.
and that gives
Six.
us
That's all right.
freedom to
And
go to
can you
8:30
make-
if
you
we
think you
have
could
to.
make
Okay.
that work?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Probably work.
Zach's bringing donuts.
Awesome.
I'll bring donuts.
I think you should bring omelets.
It's on record. I'll bring donuts.
Forget donuts, omelets.
Yeah.
All Micah shows up there.
Frank? Okay, so we are gonna, on January
27th.
27th, 6 o'clock.
How's that for you?
Randy, let us know if you're gonna be in town.
Where?
Okay.
Where?
Let's see,
Here.
so.
Somewhere.
Right here.
Right in here.
Right there.
Yep, we'll set up tables in the middle here, and
Okay.
Board
we hope to in the next
appointments.
day or so we'll get the
Yeah,
budget
we'll
books
deliver
out
the
to you.
information.
Yeah, we'll deliver it to you. So
Okay, awesome. I have nothing else, so do we have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Roll call.
Hamel,
Aye.
Funkert,
Aye.
Kent,
Aye.
Gills,
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
We are adjourned.